So in the second chapter of Pesahim, we're really exploring the different characteristics of hametz and, whether we need to burn it or not, or whether we can get rid of it in some other way, whether we can get benefit from it. As the chapter progresses, we're going to look at the kinds of foods that make hametz, and then we're going to get onto the kinds of foods which we're going to eat at our Seder, actually. So we'll gradually segue from hametz to matzah to the Seder. That's essentially the progress of the second chapter. But it begins very firmly with hametz. And in order to understand it, we actually need a pasuk. And we've mentioned this pasuk before on the source sheet, but I brought it again just to be able to devote a little bit more attention to it. It's from Shmot. It's from Bo. Matzot. We might even have read it. We might have read it yesterday. It's very close, certainly, to the Parsha of HaChodesh. Matzot yachel, 8 shivat hayamim, unleavened bread or matzot shall be eaten for the 7 days. Velo yera'eh lecha hametz, and hametz won't be seen for you. Velo yera'eh lecha seor, and leaven shall not be seen for you. B'chol gevulecha, and the Torah seems to repeat this word lecha, for you, as though the ownership or the possession of the hametz is particularly important. And that's the issue which the Mishnah is going to pick up in the second Mishnah of the second chapter. Hametz shel nochri she'avar alav haPesach. Hametz that belongs to a non-Jew that has gone through Pesach. The expression she'avar alav haPesach, that the Pesach has passed over, means that the hametz has passed through Pesach. We haven't destroyed it, in other words. Mutar b'hanaha. But mutar b'hana'a, it's okay to get benefit from it. We can get benefit from a non-Jew's hametz. So, for example, the day after Pesach, we can walk into his shop and buy it and then cook with it. But the Mishnah continues, Veshel Yisrael asur. If it belonged to a Jew, it's forbidden. We can't walk into a Jewish shop and just buy hametz, or if it even our hametz, right? Let's say we on the day after Pesach, we discover some hametz, which unfortunately has been tucked away in the attic through the whole of Pesach. We can't get benefit from it. We still have to get rid of it. It's asur b'hana'ah. It's forbidden to get benefit. And now we're going to quote the pasuk, Shenemar lo yera'eh lecha seor. No leaven shall be seen for you. It applies for your hametz, but not for a non-Jew's hametz. And once that's established, the difference between our hametz and a non-Jew's hametz, we're now going to do a little bit of financial engineering. And I wanted to mention the fact that in a secured loan, essentially, the borrower takes ownership of the money. If I borrow money, I take the money, but the lender takes ownership of the collateral. In a secured loan, if I'm the borrower, I take the money and I give the collateral. That's the classic format. And it could even, by the way, in modern financial markets, it could even be by way of purchase and repurchase. I can sell the lender my collateral and buy it back at the end of the loan. The point is that my collateral isn't with me anymore, it's with the lender. And that's the issue which the Mishnah discusses. Nochri, again with reference to a non-Jew. Nochri shehilva et Yisrael al chametzo. Say a non-Jew made a loan to a Jew secured on his chametz, that is secured on the Jew's chametz. Achar haPesach mutar b'hana. After Pesach, it's permitted to gain benefit from it because the non-Jew has given the cash to the Jew. The Jew has handed over his chametz to the non-Jew. This is essentially like non-Jewish hametz, which we can get benefit from after Pesach. It's just non-Jewish hametz. And of course, the opposite the opposite will work. It'll work in exactly the opposite direction as we would expect. The Yisrael shehilva et hanochri al chametzo. What if a Jew makes a loan to a non-Jew secured on his chametz? Well, in this case, the non-Jew the Jew is lending, so the non-Jew gets the cash, but the Jew gets the chametz. That's a problem, and the Mishnah is going to tell us: Achar haPesach asur b'hana'ah. After Pesach, it is forbidden to have benefit from it. So, for example, if the non-Jew doesn't pay back the loan, we can't take possession of that chametz and sell it, because in that situation, well, the chametz has gone over Pesach in our possession. We possessed it. There's absolutely no benefit we can derive from it after Pesach. What about destroying it? And we're going back to the question that Rabban Gamliel raised in the first Mishnah of the chapter, where he says you can crumble it or throw it to the winds or throw it in the sea. Hametz shenafla alav mapolet. What about hametz on top of which a building fell down? So there's a mapolet is a collapsed building. Hametz shenafla alav mapolet. A collapsed building has collapsed onto some chametz. Harehu ki mu'voar. It's as if it had been removed. And we had Rabban Gamliel earlier, but now we're going to have Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Kol she'ein hakelev yachol chapetz acharav. Anything that a dog couldn't search after, i.e., anything that a dog can't search out, is not chametz for our purposes. Just like as we were discussing at the beginning of the Masechet, we're only going to search 2 rows back in the wine cellar. If the chametz is stuck somewhere that a dog can't get it, or it's stuck under the ruined building, it's not chametz for practical purposes. What if the chametz doesn't belong to a non-Jew, but it belongs to the Kohen? That's the next question that the Mishnah asks. Ochel trumat chametz. What about someone who eats chametz truma? But Pesach b'shogeg. He eats it on Pesach, and he eats it by mistake. Mushalem keren v'chomesh. He repaid the principal plus a fifth. We've learned this halacha before, that the fifth of the Mishnah, which is actually 25%, it's a quarter, is payable if you take possession of, or if you eat truma. If you eat truma that doesn't, if you take something that belongs to the Kohen, you need to pay it back with a fifth. What about on purpose? B'mezid patur mistashrumim. On purpose, he's exempt from paying. And also even from the value of fuel. And somehow the penalty for purposeful eating of chametz is less than for accidental eating. But what the Mishnah is getting at here is that if you eat on purpose, you're subject to karet, but you have to pay back the value of that chametz. And of course, the value of the chametz is, well, it's 0 on Pesach, because we're forbidden to get any benefit from it. So, in other words, the chametz has got 0 value to a Jew on Pesach, even for the purpose of calculating fines.